Alright, welcome to our solutions video for Selective Prep Mathematics, test number 8. Before we get started again, I'd like to make sure that it is important to make sure that you watch all of these solutions videos and you watch them every single week. So if you don't, there's no real way to know what you've done right, and there's also no real way to know what you've done wrong, and more importantly, there's no way to know why you've done each question right or wrong. Okay, which is the most important part of your learning. So if you don't know why you've done something wrong, then you don't know how to fix it or how to make sure it's right in the future. And if you don't know why you've done something right, then you don't know how to do it again. Okay, you've basically just guessed it. So we're going to take another overview, or we're going to take another look at an overview before we get into the solutions. So the first thing we're going to look at is fractions with a lowest common multiple. We've looked at this a few times in the past few weeks, but if you're joining us for the first time, let's take another look at it. So it is good to use a common denominator when you're adding fractions that don't already have one. Okay, so you always have to use a common denominator. And when we make a common denominator, it should always be the lowest common multiple. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting time. Okay, now, when we're finding or trying to find the lowest common multiple, don't just try and multiply all your denominators together right off or straight away. Because usually, or most of the time, this isn't going to give you the denominator you want to find. What's actually going to happen is you're going to get a hideously large number that you don't want, and it's going to be a waste of your time. The only exception really is when you have like two numbers, maybe three. So sometimes this will give you the right answer, but even so, even if you only have two denominators or two fractions, have a little bit of a think before you just go ahead and multiply them together straight away, because you might come to regret that. Okay, so we'll take a look at what we should do in the example below. So we have 4 over 12, 8 over 16, 1 over 24. First step, always simplify. So 1 on 3, half, and 1 on 24, okay? And our lowest common multiple here is 24, okay? Which is why I said even if you have 2 or 3 fractions, have a look at it first and think about it before multiplying everything through, because we already have a denominator of 24 here, so we don't need to change that fraction. So what we're going to try and do is try and make every denominator 24. So 1 on 3, multiply top and bottom by 8, gives you 8 on 24. This, multiply top and bottom by 12, gives you 12 on 24, 1 on 24 stays the same. Add them up together, gives you 21 on 24. Now imagine you'd multiplied them all together. Your denominator would be like 132 or something. Okay, so try not to do that. Or 138, or 6, or 4, I don't know. So simultaneous equations is what we're going to take a look at next. So simultaneous equations is just when you solve two or more equations together at the same time to find some variables or to find some unknown letters or unknown numbers. Okay, so there's two ways of doing this: elimination and substitution. Elimination is you want to try and make the same term, not same letter. So you can have the same letter but have it be have a different term. So if you have 3a versus 2a, yes, they've got the same letter, but it's not the same term because of the number in front. 3a and 3a are the same term. 2a and 3a are not. Now, what you want to do is make the same term in each equation and then subtract the two equations from each other, cancel out that same term, and leave it in terms of a different letter. And substitution is finding the value of one letter in terms of the other in one equation, and then substituting that value into the other equation and having one equation all in terms of one letter. So for example, let's look at elimination with this question here. So a plus 2b equals 10, 3a plus 5b equals 32. I'm going to try and make the a terms the same. So multiply this all through by 3 should give you 3a plus 6b equals 30. And then the bottom's going to be 3a plus 5b equals 32. Now subtract top and bottom. 3a disappears, 5b disappears, and the 6 disappears. And then 30 minus 32 is going to be minus 2. So b is going to be minus 2. A, if you sub b equals minus 2 back into here, you're going to get a minus 4 equals 10. So move this 4 over, you're going to get a equals 14, because minus becomes a plus when you move it over. Now substitution, we're going to start with one equation at a time. So I'm going to move the 2b over. In this first equation, I'm going to move the 2b over. Now I know what a is in terms of b. So this is what I mean by find one letter in terms of the other. And when I do this, I'm going to sub this value of a into here. So instead of 3a, I'm going to write it as 3, 10 minus 2b plus 5b equals 32. because now I've got everything in terms of b, and now I can find the value of b. So I'm going to get 30 minus 6b plus 5b equals 32. 30 minus b equals 32, and then move the 32 over, and then the minus b, you're going to get b equals minus 2, and then obviously if you sub it back in, you're going to get the same value for a. Now, the first question we're going to look at is fractions. So in a school of 1,200 students, 5 on 8 go by public transport, 1 on 3 go by private cars, the rest walk. So how many don't walk? So 5 on 8, 1 on 3, lowest common multiple is 24. So make each denominator 24. Top and bottom here by 3, so that's going to be 15 over 24. Top and bottom here by 8, so you're going to get 8 on 24. Add them together, 23 on 24. Now, that means 1 on 24 do walk. So if I divide 1,200 by 8 to find what 1 on 8 is, then I'm going to do 12 divided by 8, which is 1, 4, 12, it should be 1,200 divided by 24, not 8. So 24 goes into 12 0 times, but it goes into 120 5 times. It goes into 0 times, gives you 50. Pardon me. So, if Diligent Dan and Silly Sam are 6 on 11 and 5 on 12 of an average male height, respectively, what fraction of this do they represent if their heights are combined? So, lowest common multiple, 132. So, multiply top and bottom by 12, multiply top and bottom by 11. Okay, add them together, so you should get 72 plus 55 over 132 equals 127 over 132. Now, question 3. Each day I swim 350 meters further than the day before. 5 days ago, I swam 1.5 kilometers. How far will I swim today? So we're adding 350 times 5, because I swam 1.5 kilometers 5 days ago. I add 350, so I've added 350 5 times, because it's been 5 days. So this is going to be 1,500 plus 1,750, which is going to equal 3,250 meters, or 3.25 kilometers. Now, on a farm, there are only sheep and chickens, so I'm going to call it S and C. There were 60 heads and 190 legs for just the animals, not the humans. How many sheep are there? So, let's look at legs first. So, how many legs does a sheep have? 4. So each sheep is going to contribute 4 legs. So I'm going to do 4 times the number of sheep. And chicken have 2. So I'm going to do 4s plus 2c equal 190. Heads. So each sheep has one head. Each chicken has 1 head. So it's just going to be like so. Now we are going to use simultaneous equations here. Multiply this by 2. I'm going to get rid of this 2c on both sides. So 2s plus 2c equals 120. Subtract these 2 gives you 2s. Subtract these 2 gives you 0. Subtract these 2 equals 70. So s equals 35. So we have 35 sheep. Does that answer the question? Yes, it does. So question 5. Dennis jogs to school at a steady state of 12. Walks back at 3 kilometers per hour. The distance from school to home is 6 kilometers. 6 kilometers. So on the way there, he gets there in 30 minutes, and on the way back, he gets home in 2 hours. Okay, add them together, you get 2 hours and 30 minutes. All right, CBD. So before we look at the triangles, we should look at this quadrilateral first. So angle sum of a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. We have 90 here, and 60 here. So that's minus 90, minus 180. Minus 60 should give us this angle here. So, minus 180 is 180, minus 60 equals 120 degrees. So this angle here is 120 degrees. We're finding angle CBD. So CBD. So this angle here. Now this is an isosceles triangle, which means this angle and this angle are the same. So 120 plus 2x equals 180. Because the angle sum of this triangle here is 180 degrees. So move this over, 2x equals 60 degrees, x equals 30 degrees. So this angle here, x equals 30 degrees. Now, question 7, average mass of 3 cricket players is 100 kilograms. So basically all 3 of them, you can just think that all 3 of them weigh 100. Now, 2 new players join, one weighs 55, one weighs 103, okay? What's the new average mass? So now we have 2 more players, so we've got to add these all up, divide them by 5, because we've got 5 players. So 100, 200, 300, plus 103 is 403, plus 55 is 458. So 458 over 5 is what? So let's do some long division. So 445 goes in 9 times, goes in once, carry over the 3, goes into the point 30, 0.6 times. So it goes into 0.3, 6 times. So 91.6 should be your answer. Now, 8 points are equally spaced, apart and marked on a number line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The starting number is 6. The last number is 55. Now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces in between. And from 6 to 55, there's 49 numbers. So if there's 49 from here to here, and there's 7 spaces, that means there's 7 in each space. Okay, so what's the third point from the right? So this point here. So it's going to be 55 minus 7, which is 48, minus 7, which is 41. Now, question 9. Anna is 3 times as old as her son. So A equals 3S. But 5 years ago, she was 4 times as old as her son's age. So A minus 5 equals 3 times S minus 5. So that's 5 years ago for both of them. So A minus 5 equals 4. It's 4 years older. So 4S minus 20, because it was 4 times as old. And A equals 4S minus, move the minus 5 over, it becomes plus, so it should be minus 15. Alright, so 4S minus 15. So these A's are equal. So 3S equals 4S minus 15. Move this over, you should get S equals 15. So this is now. How old was her son 5 years ago? 5 years before the calculation of 5 years ago. So that's 10 years ago. So it should be 15 minus 10 equals 5. Now, last question. Cindy's bank is offering a special depository rate for a savings account. Deposit $6,500, finds herself with $7,000 a year later. Okay, so she's made $500. Okay, due to interest accrued on her savings, find the closest percentage increase. So we need to find what 500 is as a fraction of 6,500. Okay, so how much we've made over how much we initially had. Now we can cancel the zeros out. So we should get 5 divided by 65. Okay, that's what our fraction represents. So 65 goes into 5 0 times. 65 goes into 50 0 times. 65 goes into 500 7 times. Okay, it goes into 500 7 times, and it leaves over. So 65 times 7 gives you 455, leaves over 45. Okay, so 65 goes into 45 6 times. So 65 times 6 is 360, 390, leaves over 60, carry over the 60. You should get 600, which it goes into 9 times. So you get 0.0769 as your decimal, but you need to times it by 100% to get a percentage, right? So times decimals by 100 to get a percentage. So move the decimal point over, and you get 7.69%. So B. Alright, so key points for this test was lowest common multiple and simultaneous equations. Okay, so when we're finding a lowest common multiple, okay, don't just multiply all your denominators from the start straight away. Okay, have a little bit of think about it. And with simultaneous equations, we're either using elimination or substitution to find our unknown variables or our unknown letters. Okay, so those are the key points from this test. We just looked at the solutions for test number 8, so I will see you in the next video. Good job, guys.